Guys, I've got a very special guest here today, Vince Hall. I don't know if you guys have ever met him before or seen his Facebook ads. That's actually how we met. You can find Vince on Facebook kicking tires or maybe being buried up to his neck, which is just awesome. And what Vince does is he works at and helps operate CallPorter.com. If any of you guys have heard of that, and I'll just give them some quick edification real quick. CallPorter and Vince, they're for me, they're one and the same. But Vince has just been awesome. He's the Nicholas Nick of CallPorter, right? The same way I'm going hand to hand with all my clients. That's how I found him. He's the guy in the videos. He's the guy on the phone. He's everywhere. So I reached out to Vince when I saw his ad 4 months ago.
No, I think it was actually over the summer.
Wow.
Yeah. We've known each other for a bit now.
Yeah. And I was like, bro, I love what you're doing. It's really creative. It's really cool. And I don't want to do inbound. So, what CallPorter is, if I didn't explain it properly, it's an inbound call center, and lead mining is an outbound call center. So naturally,
we came together.
Yeah, exactly. Naturally, we saw the silver lining there, and we decided to come together for everybody. But awesome. Yeah, welcome, Vincent, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for the intro, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Very, very excited to have you. And how long has CallPorter been open for?
So since 2017.
Wow, yeah. Almost the same year. I think we found it, actually. Small world.
Yeah. And so go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, and I believe you guys own another company as well.
Yeah, correct. So our sister company is Ballpoint Marketing. So we do real estate specific direct mail. So for both investors and agents on that side of things too. Awesome.
Very cool. And then so you guys started with the direct mail, right? Is that the story? And then you're like, dude, who's taking these calls?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. So Ryan Dawsey, the founder and owner of the companies, when he started his investing journey, he essentially was like, all the direct mail out there is crap. He was like, I'm not using that. I'm not using that. I'm not using that. So he designed his own products. And then as his mail was out, he was on a date with his wife and his phone was ringing. So he picked it up because he knew he had mail out. And she's like, don't you dare answer that phone. And he's like, but it's good. And she's like, I don't care. So he called the guy back 2 hours later. And, the guy's like, hey, if you would have answered the phone, I would have given the deal to you. And he lost $30,000-$40,000. And so he's like, that's never happening again. Yeah. And so he hired a friend to take his phone calls for him. And then he had another investor friend that's like, hey, can I use your friend that's taking these calls? And then that one person just was too busy. And then they got another person, and it just snowballed after that. And now we are 100% US based with our phone reps. We're nationwide. We're 24/7 call service and, just rocking and rolling.
Wow. That's all, that's actually nearly the same exact story of the beginning of lead mining, and I think that's what happens when you build something for yourself. Right? You're like, hey, full disclosure, I didn't start cold calling for others at lead mining. I was cold calling for myself. I was like, I need a freaking deal here.
Right. Yeah.
And then, you find out that these other opportunities start getting laid out before you guys. And how long have you been with CallPorter?
So I've been with CallPorter just over a year and a few months.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're so tenured. I remember the compliment I gave you last time on, what a staple I think, you are over there.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, they initially brought me on, to kind of essentially be like the Jake of State Farm for CallPorter. Sure. And, being in front of people, being in front of the camera, being, a good communicator, kind of revamping their sales process. And then as of late, getting into more of the affiliate joint venture side of things. And so love what I do with both companies. And it's pretty fun, hopping on a phone call with someone that might have known the name Vince, and then I get on a Zoom call, and they're like, "Oh, you're that guy,"
Yeah,
you know.
it's in the video,
You're the guy in the CallPorter ads.
and the cool thing that a lot of people don't get is how beautiful that is. Like, one big ninja tip to everyone watching is when you're on a video and someone's watching you, that automatically celebritizes you in a unique way. I mean, clearly you're not Brad Pitt or something. However, you still made it on the magic box.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, how did he get up there? Wow, is this the guy I'm going to talk to? And it really helps, like, pierce the fourth wall, if you will. And you start with a lot more rapport whenever that happens.
Yeah. And I would just encourage your listeners too, like, social media, we live in a digital world. And so if you are not comfortable getting in front of camera or speaking in front of people, like, spend a little bit of time and learn how, like, because I think it really is a positive thing for you to have in your toolkit as an investor. For sure.
And you know what? I'll even add this to this. There's this awesome guy, and he's Asian, and his name is Vin Vang or something. I'll add it in. And he's actually a communications coach. And so, as simply as like follow your advice, as following this guy on Instagram and then scrolling through some of his reels, I mean, he's brilliant. He talks about something I don't do a lot, which is pausing. How powerful.
Yeah, take a breath.
Not a big pauser, okay? I'm more of a steamroller, but that's really great advice. Practice is what you're saying. Practice makes perfect, and it's like,
yeah, for sure.
You're never going to feel like you're getting better if you're not practicing, right? So if you don't make the space to practice and fail and learn, then you're never going to get comfortable with it. And that's okay, as long as you have enough money to hire your own Vince.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So, CallPorter. Well, let's dive in a little bit, because I wanna make sure. So everyone at Lead Mining, I'm pretty sure everyone watching most likely knows what we do. What we do is we can pull a list anywhere in the nation. We can skip trace it for a phone number. They're over 85% accurate. We can cold call it. And we offer Americans or Filipinos. So you get to pick whatever works best for your budget or your market. And we text message everybody. So we're CallPorter. Now, we're only outbound. We only do outbound. We don't answer any inbound calls. I respect what a monster it is to manage an inbound system. Honestly, I haven't figured it out yet. And when I met Vince, I was like, bro, we need to talk, because not only have I not figured out yet, I don't want to figure it out. I'd really rather get our trusted clients in front of a professional, and that's already, if someone else has that figured out as much as I have my systems figured out, then why would I even start down that rabbit hole in the first place? So, that's kind of how we teamed up. So if you could talk to us a little bit about maybe not the onboarding process, but what's it like to start with CallPorter? When you I've got a campaign launching, I need inbound calls taken. Now what happens?
So initially what you would do is, set up a discovery call with somebody on the team. Very, very rarely do people just go to our website, look at our pricing and say, ooh, I want that, right? Because we are a service. And so the first thing on the discovery call, we're going to figure out, hey, who are you? What are you doing for business? We serve both real estate investors and real estate agents. So those conversations on the discovery call go a little bit differently. And so as far as like the investor, typically the question we ask, okay, what does your marketing strategy look like? And they're going to say, well, I do some direct mail. I also, direct traffic to my website. I get online leads. And pretty soon I'm going to run a radio ad. So then we know, like, right away, okay, here's the opportunities for inbound. And so we need to get a good estimation, especially if they've done direct mail in the past and they are pretty consistent with it. But mail houses around the nation have, their own response rates. And so I just asked them, hey, what does your mail house say as far as a response rate? So we know how many calls are going to come in. And then, same thing with like, their web leads or something, pretty historically, if they've been doing it, they understand what's going to come in. And then we just kind of get that number, a basic estimation. We put them in a pricing tier.
Perfect.
And then, once they're in that pricing tier, depending on what tier they're in too, they're going to get the live answering, and we're a 24/7 call service. I'm not sure if I mentioned that or not. So,
and Americans too, I believe.
24/7 call center, inbound, 100% US based. All of our phone reps are trained in the aspects of real estate, the general aspects of real estate. So they walk the walk, talk the talk, know the lingo, all that sorts of things. And our script is tried and proven. So, for your listeners, we process tens and tens of thousands of phone calls every month using our script for residential properties.
Yeah.
We based it around Andrew Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. So it's a good script. There are people that come in and say, hey, I really want to use mine. And then they come to find out that ours was better. The only time we really like customize things if they're going after, just multifamily or just land or, stuff like that.
Same with us, not unless the niche proves it. Hey, what I tell my clients is, look, if you're going after seller leads, I'm not going to recommend a change at all. Mm-hmm. But if your list is full of FSBOs, then yeah, we want it, because if they're already selling, we want to make sure that, we adjust. But no, we're the same exact way. In most cases, I'm like, can we just try our script first? And then if you're not happy, we'll move on. And the other thing I tell people is also, old habits die hard.
Yeah.
You want to send over 3 words difference. My team's going to mess up more trying to get those 3 words right than if they would have just done what they've been doing for the last
or the order of the script. So we train our phone reps not to be robots. We want them to be very conversational in their approach with sellers. And so we tell, clients, like, right away, we want the seller to assume that the person they're talking to is actually the assistant in your office.
Yeah.
So, which because we answer the phone as their business, my reps will say their name, and then it just gets very conversational. So the seller, in a way, is, leading the conversation, but our reps are always in the driver's seat, right? So the seller's talking, but our reps do know how to direct the conversation where it needs to go. And we also know that, the time on the phone is valuable, because while we are a monthly subscription, no contracts, we're month to month, we're also minutes based. So we want to get to the point quickly to, process the contact information, the property information, motivation to sell, price point, time frame, and book an appointment on your calendar. And we want to do that in less than 7 to 8 minutes. Right. That's a good qualified lead.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Call back, conversation, notes taken, lead delivered. Right.
Yeah. And we'll integrate with CRMs. So, if you have, Resimpli or REI Black Book or REI Reply or HubSpot or Podio, whatever you're using, most CRMs are smart enough and have the capability for a web form link. So that's how we collect the data. We make the notes via the web form link. We shoot it over to you in real time. And then usually your CRM prompts some sort of notification, maybe even on your phone. Hey, a new lead's been made or a new contact's been made or whatever. Yeah.
No, that's great. And I can any veterans of my service listening to this, I'm sure that they're smiling, because it's like you're saying all the same stuff I am, just in reverse, right?
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing, right? Because we're very similar in the way we work. Speed is of the utmost importance. Providing a great customer service experience. I mean, that's to the seller, right? I think that providing a customer service experience to the seller is something that is really left behind very often. Real estate world. Do you want to sell, 50 cents on the dollar? Yes or no? I feel like that's the average approach of an investor. I don't even have time to build rapport with you. Do you want to sell or not? Right. Because I really feel like that's like the investor energy at its standard. Right. Yeah. I think that the superiority is care, concern, and communication, like the points you were touching on.
100%. And when you talk about rapport, like, I've had potential clients, on a discovery call say, okay, so you say you can build rapport. How are you going to build rapport in 5 minutes? And I said, well, give you a prime example. One of our reps heard a dog barking in the background. Ask the person, oh, I hear a dog. What kind of dog do you have? Oh, I got a Yorkie or whatever. Oh, what's its name? Fred. She's going to put, owner has a dog named Fred. And then the investor, when he actually went to the property to view the home, said, oh my gosh, this is so-and-so, this is Fred. And the person's like, how did you know? And he's like, my assistant told me. That is simple rapport that took 7 seconds for my phone rep to identify and pass it on. Those
not only
small little things matter.
And not only does that make the lead happier while they're on the phone, but then when you do what they call a callback in the television comedy world, and when you actually call it out from the note that you read, now the owner thinks you're crazy sharp. Wow, this guy is a pro. He knows what he's doing. What a great experience. Even he knew my dog's name. That's a story you share with people, you know, after the fact, you know. And that's such a good example. Yeah, you know, rapport building on, and also how about just being pleasant? You know? I mean, it's like a lot of people really shortchange. I mean, the nuances are really helpful, but hey, you know, they're speaking to you like they care about you. And it almost reminds me of that great Capital One commercial that was out 5 years. I don't really watch TV anymore, but there used to be this Capital One commercial when I was a kid, when it was like a grandma calling in, but there was also a grandma answering. And their slogan was like, we treat you how you treat you. And
yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, and that just really reminds me of the experiences that, you know, we're crafting. And when they do this, you know, I can't, you know, speak for your team as much as my cold callers. The number one thing, if we get a new employee, the number one thing they say is, Nick, I can't believe how many people are actually willing to talk to me. It's like, we actually think people have their guard up, but when you show up with love and
be kind and
you know, I have a saying for my team, because I try to have sayings for everything, and it is be the light in their day. You know, and earlier, I think it was off recording, you'd mentioned that your team had just sent out a thing about calming down angry people.
Yeah.
And I'd love for us to touch on that for a minute. I've got some great tricks. I'll go first if that's cool. And
for sure.
And then feel free if you got some nuggets from that article that they posted. You know, when someone's angry, I think the first thing is I like to remind them that I'm a human. You know, I call it humanizing yourself. Oh my goodness, I can tell you're having a rough day. Would you like me to call back later? It's like, oh no, I'm fine. You know, sometimes we're so grumpy, and it takes somebody going, hey, I can tell you're a little grumpy right now, and that actually helps us snap out of it. Like, we think we're getting away with it. You know, is one of the things that happens. Another great strategy, you know, that I've learned. My first 1,000 cold calls were into New York City. Okay, and
perfect.
And don't get me wrong, it's my personality is very New York-ish, so it wasn't like apples and oranges. But I learned very quickly that some of the people who give you attitude up front, they're also testing you. And they're like, are you qualified to even talk to me? Are you thick-skinned enough to even continue this conversation with me? And so I realized a lot of people would pick up the phone and snap at me. And so I got really good at snapping back, but in like a fun, cute way. Okay?
Yes.
And very often they would like totally butter up.
Brings the guard down.
Yeah, they're like, oh wow, he punched back. Now I was never aggressive or rude, but I always stood up for myself. And I stood up for myself in like a tasteful way. You know, if someone's like, one guy's like, what do you think, you're being cute? And I was like, I do find myself to be cute. I'm not trying to be cute with you right now.
I've been told I'm a 9 out of 10. No.
Exactly. You know, and like really, really kind of don't let them steamroll you. And the last tip I'll give is the more scared you are, the worse the call is going to be. And, you know, I was on a mastermind meeting the other day, and the guy said, Nick, my first call ever was the worst call I was ever been on. And I'll never forget. I was so scared before I even made it, and they chewed my ass. And I said, they actually chewed your ass because you were scared. And what happens is when you show up, and it's just human nature, and I hate that it's human nature, but talk to God about that. When we sense weakness, we want to attack. It is human freaking nature. So if you call somebody, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, you know, and you have that weakness because of you're nervous or whatever, you don't have strength in your tone or conviction, that person will literally smell that. And if they're having a bad day, they will ruin yours. So one thing I like to do is always imagine the calls are going to go good. Always imagine that, you know, they need you. One of my partners said to me, he used to say, Nick, read me the notes and I want you to fucking lie to me is what I want you to do. And he said that because he knew it didn't matter what the notes said as much as it mattered how he felt.
Yeah, as you delivered it.
Gonna go. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think the lead sucks and you're all like, oh, it's going to be a waste of my freaking time. And then you jump into that call with that energy, it is absolutely going to be a waste of your time. But anyways, those are some of my outbound tips, but you know, I'd love to hear some of the things you've experienced.
Yeah. So on the inbound side, you know, we get taken off guard pretty quick sometimes, right? Because the phone rings, we answer it, and someone's like, hey, I want to talk to so-and-so right now because they sent me some piece of direct mail and I keep getting all these, you know, pieces of mail from greedy investors, and they start cussing us out and calling us the devil and, you know, like all kinds of things. And so it's, you know, for the phone reps to immediately get that, you know, like they're constantly, the phone reps are constantly like chatting with each other, like, you know, hey, I appreciate you and I appreciate you and what you're doing, you know, just affirming like them as you talk about humanizing, because they do. I would say about a third of the phone calls that come into the call center are the, you know, the screaming, yelling, take me off the list, you know, calling us names kind of stuff. Which we have investors that are like, I pay for the service. If it was only that, I would pay for it. You know, I don't even want to take those kinds of calls.
Right. Yeah. If anything, getting those, we talked about that earlier, shielding these entrepreneurs from negativity might be one of the biggest benefits of a service like ours.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So they can, as long as they're, you know, consistently, you know, marketing in some way, and these calls are coming in and they don't have to take them, and they have professionals that can process and qualify. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Especially if you're working, you know, there's a lot of investors that work another job.
Right.
So, you know, they're nurses or they're a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher or whatever the case might be, and they can't answer the phone calls. Well, we can, you know, at our end. But you know, I was going to say, kind of getting back to the phone reps, you know, we always teach them smile. Like, even through your frustration, smile. You know, some of them even have mirrors at their desks, you know, to just continue the smile. And some of them do push back. Like we've had somebody that just kept prank phone calling an investor a bunch of times. And, you know, we had blocked his number, and he was, you know, probably in his mom's basement or something, who knows? And we had blocked his number. He just used a different number, and he kept doing this. And our phone reps would be like, I mean, don't you have anything better to do than to like, it's sad for you that this frustrates you so much that this has ruined your day or ruined your week, that you got a piece of mail or you got a text or you got a phone call. Like, it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I like that. And that's kind of like that humanizing thing. Right. And it's like, look, dude, like, I don't know. Like, I can't believe you, like, you don't have to ruin my day. I'm at work, bro. You know, and that stuff works. I remember one time I was letting a customer service rep have it, and it hasn't happened a lot in my life. And they were like, sir, I'm going to disconnect the call if you say something else.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how nice you get after someone says something like that. And, you know, it's definitely an immature response to not be nice in the first place.
Yeah.
We all have our days. I don't go into conversations like that, but in my 20s, it was a totally different, it was
Mhm.
a totally different
Yeah.
story
Yeah.
when I got an
Yeah.
overdraft fee.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, sir, ma'am, if you just, if you would stop and tell us what you really want, we'll get your name taken off the list and we'll move on.
Well, and you know, and isn't that a funny lesson too for some of the angry people? I think they get so busy to throwing a fit. It's like, so do you want to be added to the do not call list, or do you
Yeah.
have a property for sale? Because you spent so much time yelling, you haven't even gotten out how we
Gotten
can.
what's the whole point of this call right now?
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
one thing I'm teaching my friends too, like with spam calls and stuff. Because I'm a
Mhm.
business owner, I actually answer every spam call. And even if there's a recording, I let the whole thing run out. And they normally say, press 9 to be added to the do not call list.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's like, that's like a big tip for me. I get way less calls now, but you do have to sit through this dumbass recording rattling on. But that's kind of like the same principle in reverse. I can hang up and go, God, these damn spam calls are always
Right.
reaching out to me. And the other thing I do is I have a contact in my phone that's blocked that I call
Mhm.
spam. I call it spam. And then I add every time I get add to existing
Oh,
contacts.
that's a good
I'm
idea.
I'm
I
so
like
over
that.
it. So that way, if they don't abide by the do not call, they just sound like they do. Then at least I cover myself there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you getting to the point, taking massive action and stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of calls, I got a question for you if you don't mind. So what do you like? How do you approach like investors that would say, you know, hey, cold calling is dead? Like we get direct mail's dead. Like how do
Right,
you approach that? Because it obviously is a strategy for a
right.
lot of investors. They're using it. You know,
Yeah.
you're a successful business. So like how do you go about that and answer that?
So, you know, I think I'm such a nerd. You know, before I answer this question, I'll say I'm a
Me too.
nerd. Yeah. And so, you know, I would say is like, you know, under what KPIs,
Right.
right? I mean, if anyone wants to say anything sucks, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, it does. Show me the numbers, you know, yeah, what do you got? Right.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, how did you spend $1,000 on direct mail? What happened? You spend $1,000 on cold calling? What happened? You spend $1,000 on texting? And the good news is by asking these questions, we normally find out that they
It's
made
them.
100 calls. Yeah, they hired a VA a long time
Yeah.
ago, and the VA robbed them blind, or you know something happened. But you know the real answer is every market does respond differently. You know,
Absolutely.
I do tell people, I'm not saying this will work everywhere. I'm not saying this will work for you, but you
Hmm.
know, I am saying that, you know, this does work. You know, I think last week I got 4 messages from different clients saying that they've closed deals
Yeah.
that
I love
week,
that.
got a property under contract. I love it too, but my customers that complain don't love it, because what happens is when someone complains to me, I literally know the difference between them and the successful person.
Hmm.
And to be honest with you, most of those complainers actually get better results than the successful person did. Okay. They're just not getting every lead thinking that it sucks. You know,
Hmm.
I have some customers that pay us and it's like they're like waiting in the bushes to tell me I'm a scam. Ah, gotcha. Gotcha. I knew you weren't going to make those calls. Like, did you just hire us just to see if I was a scam or not? Like, I'm not a scam. However, if you go in with that energy, I'm going to show up really scammy, because if everything you think you see is a scam, then you're going to, oh, well, you have a Filipino guy email me scam. Oh, well, you have it. And so it's interesting, you know, what happens, you know.
Hmm.
But with cold callers and cold calling in general, I walk them through my marketing chat, which
Yeah.
is, you know, tell me about your KPIs. What have you done? Why do you think it's dead? You know, right now, us personally, our nationwide average contact rate right now is 11.5%, which
Dang.
I don't know if you know, but that is huge.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. And what's happened is we've recently upgraded to Call Tools version 2.0, and
Hmm.
you know, and they've got some great stuff in there. And before we did that upgrade, we were actually using all of our clients' phone numbers. So you'd get a phone number, you'd give it to me. I'd then put
Hmm.
your phone number on the caller ID. Our clients' phone numbers, a good campaign was 6 to 7.5% contact rate, a good campaign.
Mm-hmm.
We still get leads no matter how many answered, which is the weird part of the
Yeah.
KPI. Goes to show you that people that got something to sell pick up their phone more often.
They do, yeah, for sure.
You know,
Yeah.
But the cold calling campaigns, now we're seeing 11.5, and that's nationwide. I had a meeting the other day, the guy had 18% contact rate. Like
That's
is,
awesome.
That's crazy, even to reach that many people for one at a time marketing, because that's what that's what I call cold calling. We're literally marketing one person at a time.
I remember when I was a realtor, I mean, if I got 3%, I was lucky.
Right. Right. Yeah. And it's like, imagine 10, you know, over 3 times that amount. And so when people do come back cold calling, like I have so many KPIs in the contrary, you know, however, instead of being curt with them, like I said, I try to just probe and see how they got there, you know, but very rarely does anyone ever call me and say they don't believe in cold calling, because normally they're calling me because they're about to get started.
Yeah.
But you know, I do often remind people that things don't work. I did have a guy call me. He got referred to me and he called me and told him all of our services. He goes, yeah, I'm not interested in any of those. And then he hangs up.
And you're like, why'd you call, bro?
Well, and I said, hey, would you mind telling me how the hell I came up in conversation if you're not interested in anything? Like, were you guys talking about tigers at the zoo, or was it something else? But that's about as strange. You know, and randomly I get, you know, and I do feel for these people, but I had a guy call me in out of Miami, call me. And we have 7-cent skip tracing. Like literally there's no company with a brand charges less than that. First, like with an actual, there might be like a Filipino Fiverr guy charging less than that, not even giving you real numbers. But like I'm doing like with Brackband, and this guy's like, that's too much. That's too much money.
7 cents.
And I was like, sir, 1,000 is only $70. I'm confused. So like for me, you know, I think that a lot of people probably feel more defeated in business. If you were to bring your question full circle, I think anyone who says anything isn't working is one of two things. One, they're just young in business, maybe. And two, you know, they don't have that optimistic perspective just yet. You know, it's like, oh, it's not working. It's not this. And it's like, it's kind of like a good barrier for me. What I've been working on, you know, especially as a business owner, like I said, it's hard when so many people are closing deals from your service to hear someone else complain, because it's like giving out chocolate chip cookies to everyone and every kid loves them. And then like one kid's crying in the corner and you're like, this has to do with you more than the cookie kid.
I got less chocolate chips in my cookie than they did. Yeah.
Right. You know,
well, I think it also boils down to consistency. Like if if a person comes in and does one cold calling campaign, it doesn't see anything out of it, and they're like, well, it doesn't work. Or, you know, I paid, you know, $3,000 to do a direct mail campaign. Nothing came of it. Doesn't work. Right. You know, I put up bandit signs and nothing came. They don't, you know, like consistency is key in like anything that we could ever do. And that's like a huge selling point for CallPorter,
right?
You know, on consistency, because if an investor is serious and they treat it like a business and it's not a hobby, they're going to be consistent. And why we even exist is to be that consistency for that inbound, right? So that they're not missing the opportunities that come before them. And that's why they're more successful than others, because they're consistent and other people aren't.
Yeah. And that's also speaking to why hire a service over create your own avenue, right? So, I did my own cold calling. I hired my own VA. Okay, great. What script did you use? What dialer did you use? What nationality was your employee? Who trained your employee?
Yeah. Are they trained in real estate?
Exactly. And well, cold calling sucks. Well, look, I actually totally understand why you feel that way, especially with your experience. But you know, it's like, I'm trying to think of like a warrior reference. You know, you put the sword in the hand of a guy who's an artist and he does nothing with the sword. You put that same sword in the hand of a barbarian and all of a sudden you've won the war. And
Yeah.
so it's like, I think that's the other perk, right, of us is I think this is an interesting thought. We are so consistent at what we do, we actually allow our clients to be more consistent at what they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they were managing my outbound dialing and paying the overhead, you know, my overhead alone is $7,000 a week for a cold calling operation. Okay. This is like 10 Americans, 8 Filipinos, and cold calling software and skip tracing costs. And that's it. Okay. And that's like 7 G's a week. So you don't have to cover any of that. You get to shortcut all of that pain and just pay a small cost, just how your guys' overhead. I mean,
Yeah.
dialers, the employees that sit, you know, the reason why I never figured out inbound is because I couldn't figure out how the hell I get an employee to work 24/7 and still make profit at the end of the day. That's hard.
it is. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, we've gotten to a place, you know, we have good systems and processes and, you know, and we have teams and pods, you know, like pods, so to speak, where we have, you know, we have our early morning team, we have our peak business hours team, we have more of an evening team, an overnight team.
Yeah. Like shifts, if you will.
Shifts. Yeah, they're shifts. And, you know, we've got really good internal, like, camaraderie and, you know, our reps, you would think like a call center that reps are just going to be overturning, right? Yeah. Oh, they're with me 6 months and then they're gone. That's not the case with CallPorter. We've got, you know, I think our average tenure is like 3 years, where they really stick with us. And we provide, you know, hardworking Americans, stay-at-home jobs in a lot of ways, right? Where they get to work from home, be flexible with their schedule. You know, we have internal communications where one phone rep's like, hey, you know, my son's got a doctor's appointment I can't do tonight. Can somebody take it for me? They're like, yeah, absolutely. I got it. Like it's just internally the team, they're, you know, they call themselves a family, you know, like we, you know, celebrate like Christmas stuff together and holidays and, you know, they send each other Valentine's candies and, you know, like that kind of stuff.
A lot of camaraderie.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that really like, what another great thing that's like so hard. If you're on the outside and you wanted to create my own inbound system, you know, there's a lot, you know, people often shortchange, you know, I run by my clients all the time. You know, they go, oh, you know, how are your prices so good? And you know, it's funny, I hear 2 things. Wow, these are so inexpensive. And oh, wow, that's too much for me. You know?
Same.
Yeah. And then I tell people and I say, well, look, okay, let's say you go find a dialing software. Okay. That's $150 per line that you put on the dialing software. You still have to pull a list and skip trace it. That's probably $500 a month on top of it. We're at $650 right now. Then you have a text messaging platform. Most of my competitors, they charge $300 a month. And that's before you even send one text message. You know? And so you add those up, you're at $900 in overhead and you haven't created one system or sent one message or one call yet. And so I think the other thing that you're speaking to when you were just referring to the infrastructure that exists, you know, that infrastructure doesn't just exist because you guys are a big business. Those same fundamentals would exist if you were a solopreneur.
Yeah, for sure.
Is someone answering the phone 24/7? What scripts are they using? Who's managing them? What happens when they get sick or have a complaint or we need human resources, you know?
Or you go on vacation.
Yeah, I'll tell you, investors, we talked about tenants before we started recording, but you know, investors think tenants are a pain in the butt. You know, the real pain in the butt are people who don't know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure. Yeah.
That's really, it's like, you know, we think, but you know, these employees who aren't fully versed, who aren't completely done up, those become bigger pains than any tenant And the worst part about an employee who's poorly trained is it's your fault.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
Right.
So when they're doing bad, you can't even be like, what an idiot. You're like, what an idiot. This guy's an idiot because he didn't set that person up for success, you know? And I think that the other benefit of our business is you get to waive the infrastructure fee, right? And the infrastructure fee is actually stress. The infrastructure fee is actually system creation and management. And, you know, it's so much more strenuous to do all that. You know, stick to what you're good at as the investor, and that is meeting with people and closing deals, you know, not having a team of people waiting around 24/7 to call. That's exactly what you and I are for, Vincent.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. 100% for sure.
But so one thing I'd love to do, you did say you were the director of the affiliate marketing, and I'd love, you know, I'm a big fan of my audience doing whatever they can, and referrals are huge. And, you know, I would just love for you to share how your affiliate program works. You guys offer a very great, handsome reward for the affiliate.
We do. Correct.
And you could just share how it works, how they could get it. So if someone watching this, one, they want to sign up for CallPorter, what those next steps would be. And two would be if they wanted to sign up to be an affiliate, hey, I know people that need this service all the time. You know, I would love to just get them well-versed in how they can
I would say in either case, email vince.hall@callporter.com. And so Nick, if you want to put that, you know, in like what do you call it? The title or the summary of the subtitles. Right. Yeah. Vince.hall@callporter.com. In either case, like, hey, if you want a discovery call to learn a little bit more about CallPorter, certainly give me an email. If it's not me, I'll get you in the right place to talk to somebody. If you do want to talk affiliate stuff, that is definitely me. Still email that, vince.hall@callporter.com. And the way that our program works, we set you up with a registration in Everflow. It's an affiliate platform, that hosts all of our affiliates and tracking links and coupons and all that kind of stuff. As a new affiliate, you would get 15% commission on anyone that you would lead to a sale, and you get that monthly. So because we're a monthly subscription, for as long as that person remains a client, you get 15% of the cut. So our entrepreneur tier is our most popular tier at CallPorter. It's $499. So, 15% is what, like $89 a month. That would be into your pocket. Most of our clients stay with us somewhere around 8 to 9 months on average, which for a subscription-based service is pretty good. Some obviously drop off sooner, and some have been clients since 2017. So, if you get someone that comes over to us, that's what that's going to look like. We can also set you up as an affiliate with a coupon code that would track a 15% commission for you, but you could also hand that out to give to someone who could get a 5% discount on their monthly subscription. So it's a pretty great program. We have a second tier program as well. So like if there's an affiliate, it's like, hey, I actually know a buddy that would do really good at this too. You can get signed up right underneath there. So now you're going to get 2.5% commission on anything that your friend would do. And it's just one tier. It's not like MLM or anything like that. It's pretty common with affiliate programs, nationwide, no matter what company you're in, to have some sort of second tier. But yeah, that's what that looks like. So it'd be just simply, sending me an email saying, hey, I'm really interested. I would have like an onboarding call of sorts, just to say, I'd want to meet the person on Zoom, and who knows, they might be some sort of influencer on Instagram. I want to know those kinds of things. Yeah. So yeah, that's what that looks like.
Okay. Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. I really love what you guys are doing over there. I think that, it's going to save us a lot of headaches, going to save our clients a lot of headaches. Clients that answer those inbound calls from our outbound service, it is optional, but I tell them they will double their lead flow. If you can get those calls, and, again, more nerd stuff, but if you're paying me to have, let's say we have a 10% contact rate, and you're paying $200 for 1,000 dials. Okay. Well, we have a 10%, that's 100 conversations, okay, that we've had for you. Well, what we've also found is about 7 to 11% of people call back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if 11% of people are calling back, that's another 100 conversations for
You
them
could
to
be having.
exactly. And people, they really shortchange that. So one client I had on the phone the other day, I worked out the math with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was getting stellar results. I should even pull them up because they were that stellar. Let me go ahead and pull this up for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Check this out. This is true. Now, this is land. Full disclosure, this is land, everybody. Okay. Land does perform extremely well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This guy has 40 leads from cold calling
Wow.
on 6,400 dials. Okay. He's very happy. He's not done yet. He's actually getting 15,000 dials in total. So he's a little bit over 30% completed and he has 40 leads. This is insane.
That's awesome.
So he said, Nick, my phone's been ringing a lot. Okay. You know, what should I do? I said, look, those are optional. Okay. So it's really up to you with what you want to do. But I did the math. And if you divide 689 by 40, okay, that equals 17.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what that means is 1 in every 17 conversations became a lead for this guy, which means that if he picked up the inbound phone, I told him that he should expect at least the same rate, if not more, because people that call back have greater intent. There's a reason why they're calling back. So to the least, you pick up 17 calls, you get a whole nother lead. Now, I'll let the clients or whoever's viewing this see for themselves if they think that's worth it or not. But if that one lead makes you 50,000, 20,000, hell, $5,000, it's
worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
You know, this guy's campaign's been stellar. Just to give you guys a rundown of what we're looking at real quick. These are the dials we made, 6,464. This is how many people picked up, 689. That's huge. Anything over 10% is just stellar.
Mm-hmm.
And then these are the leads. He got 40 leads. This are the individual week breakdowns of what occurred. Okay. And then over here, we tracked how many people got wrong numbers. So out of 689 conversations, 140 were wrong numbers. And that may seem like a big number, 140, but 700 conversations is really the important number here. And what that means is over 80% of the people we spoke to were actually the right person, is what that means, which is huge. And then
absolutely huge.
There we have that 10.66% contact rate. So if we were to have that, what I say, 6 to 11% callback rate. Okay, so let's just call it 10% again. If 640 more people called back into Vince's team at CallPorter, that might translate into another 20 to 40 leads that you get to that campaign. And then all of a sudden the cost of the service, which Vince's prices are as good as ours, so it's somewhat irrelevant, but the cost of the service really goes out the window whenever you can stack numbers like that.
For sure. That's awesome. Thanks for showing that.
Yeah, no, very cool. Like, I'm such a numbers nerd. I think that's one of my big perks in this industry. What makes me, I want to use the word guru, but that's gotten such a bad rap. I only want
You're
to
the
say,
master Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely, Jedi. And it's because all of the numbers are disseminated through me.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 years, I've been staring at the results of these campaigns. I know what's good. I know what sucks. And so I see what works. I see what doesn't. And that's just been really amazing for me, especially as much of a math nerd as I am, to see what happens,
Yeah.
And guys, you heard Vince say it earlier. You guys can get on a call with him. He's just like I am with lead mining. He's super available. And he's probably even a little more available because I happen to be CEO, CMO, CFO, Director of Human Resources.
Yeah. And we actually have, an onboarding team too. So there's, 5 other individuals that can certainly handle a phone call to discover, your business, what you're all about, and, how we can best serve you. Yeah.
But I brought that up because I really recommend you guys get a relationship with Vince like I did. It makes everything much easier. That's why you're probably watching. You and I probably have a relationship right now if you're at home watching this. And relationships are everything to me. And I can promise you, Vince is one of a kind. I actually thought he was our last talk. I was like, "Are you the CEO?" Because you're just amazing. Not even because of anything else, but he's present. He replies in seconds to text messages. I freaking love this guy. Okay. He totally matches my energy.
Yeah. We're super high energy. Drives my wife crazy. She's like, you're always, yeah.
Yeah. That's why my girlfriend, she's funny. When there's actually a reel about this I recently saw, but like when I go to play video games, she's like, "Oh, are you going to leave me alone for a couple hours? You mean it?" It's like, I think I'm asking for permission, but she's like, "Please go play video games."
Right.
That's definitely the perk. But Vince, man, it was awesome to have you today, dude. I can't thank you enough for coming in. Is there anything that, you want to leave anybody with before we get out of here?
No, you're definitely in good hands with Nick, for sure. For all of you that, are in relationship and clients with him. And same can be said for you. It was fantastic, meeting you several months ago. And, we've got good plans, for the two of us, in the future. And I really like that. And, the synergy, the networking, the relationship building, and I would probably leave the conversation with always ask somebody, who do you know? You know what I'm saying? Like we feel like at the end of the conversation's done. No matter what you're doing, like if you're wholesaling or flipping a house or buying holds or your neighbor, like always ask somebody, hey, do you know somebody that knows somebody? Because you never know what might come out of it. And same thing, I know people that, like I always joke with you, because when I'm talking to other people within the sphere of real estate investing, I always see you like 2 or 3 days before me talking to them. And I remember I would send you, a phone, and I was like, hey, here's your mug on this person's website.
Yeah. No,
Yeah. So, just always network, always, be kind, build relationships, be genuine. And a lot of great things come of it.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Dude. Well, dude, I appreciate your time today. Thank you for spending the time to hang out with us. And yeah, man, if you ever need anything, for me personally, Vince, let me know. I really appreciate our friendship, and I'm excited to see what the next level looks like.
Same. We can't wait to get down to Florida, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be soon, brother. Have a good one, man. I'll see you.
All right. Bye-bye.